Okay, the next process with the reservoir drawing assembly is to create unexploded drawing. Once you have your reservoir assembled with all the fasteners in place, we're going to go ahead and then grab a new drawing file. So I'm going to go up to File, New. And what I want to pull here is an actual presentation file. This is when we're actually going to be able to take the assembly into the presentation file and pull the parts out of it as if it's being assembled. So I'm going to grab that standard INIPM presentation file and hit Create. Once I hit that, it's going to ask me to open up the assembly file. So I'm going to go and find the assembly file. So I'm going to go into my server space and find where I have this thing saved. Fasteners, reservoir assembly, and hit open. Now it's going to open up the presentation file with my assembly complete, because that's what I asked it to open up here. And I'm going to then turn this and rotate this into the orientation that I would like it to be set to. And I want to set this to an isometric axis. What I do not want to do is just freely spin this about and start pulling it apart on some random axis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that this assembly is now based on an isometric view, which is going to be one of the top corner views of my cube. So I set this up on that isometric axis view, and now I'm ready to start pulling parts out. I'm going to start pulling my fasteners out of this particular assembly. So to start the tweak process, I'm going to come up to the button that says Tweak Components. So I'm going to select the Tweak Components button, and now I need to select the components that I want to move. So I want to think about how this thing comes apart. Well, the first thing I need to do is select the first fastener that holds the reservoir lid onto the base. Then I'm going to hold down Control and select the remaining, Shift, and select the remaining fasteners that I want to remove first. Once I've selected all the fasteners I want to remove, I can select the arrow on the isometric axis. That will then allow me to click with my left mouse, hold, and then drag the particular fasteners out of the holes. Once I move them away from the assembly and they're no longer overlapping, that's far enough. You do not need to move these things so far away that you lose them on the sheet, but you need to remove the fasteners so that they are not overlapping. So now the next thing that I can do is I can look at the reservoir cover and then also the remaining fasteners to remove those. What I can do is I can then go ahead and hold down Shift. If I want to then move the additional fasteners next, I can do that. And then I can move all the fasteners at the same time to then pull these out so that we don't have any overlapping of fasteners. The last piece that I want to remove is going to be this reservoir cover. And if I finish the command and I want to go ahead and move the cover, what I'm going to need to do is move the rest of the fasteners out also. So I'm going to grab Tweak Components again, and then I'm going to go ahead and hold down Control. And actually it looks like Control or Shift. Either particular key allows me to select additional options here. So once I do that and I have the reservoir cover selected, I'm then going to hold down on the isometric axis arrow and pull the cover off until that cover now no longer overlaps the base. And once you do that, you can stop pulling things apart. We can hit the green check, and your exploded view would be pulled apart. If you want to then see this go back together, you can use the play command and the rewind the storyboard at the bottom, and you can then actually watch these fasteners come out of their designated resting places, and then the cover come off as well. Once this is set up and you're ready to lay this out, we can go ahead and save your drawing and save this to wherever you need to save your assembly. So I'm going to go back to this and actually put in here for class. And then I'm going to go ahead and lay this out onto a sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my base view. That's the assembly. I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to set this up to be scale 1:1. And then I'm going to pull this down and drop this on my sheet. Now the first thing that I notice is that in my isometric view, my reservoir cover is not pulled far enough away from my reservoir cap. Now what this has to do with is the actual snapshot views that are being created sometimes in this assembly view. We need to have that snapshot view be at the end of the actual assembly, because if I actually move my storyboard at the bottom, I can see how my fasteners and the cap are moving out. I need that snapshot to be at the end of the tweak line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new snapshot by hitting this tab at the top. It's going to create a snapshot, which shows up over here in my snapshot views. And I'm just going to go ahead and delete the first one. I don't need the first one. And then I can go back to my sheet, and I can now go ahead and lay out the updated snapshot view, which is going to be now set 1 to 1. And I can see how that assembly now shows up with the proper movements away from the reservoir cap. At this point, we can easily now go into the annotation tab. I can grab my parts list. I can select the particular drawing I'm looking for and then set up the parts list. And now I can also go ahead and create balloons for the necessary parts and pieces that need to be set up for ballooning. So after I go ahead and do this, setting up balloons, keeping the balloons as neat and organized as possible here so that they're not overlapping each other or adding to confusion is really what we're looking to do here, make things as clean and easy to read as possible. All right, hope that helps set up your exploded view.